This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by our exclusive multi-state cannabis operator sponsor, Curaleaf, one of the nation's top vertically integrated medical and wellness cannabis operators. With 53 local dispensaries, 15 cultivation sites, and 24 processing facilities operating in 14 states. You can learn more about Curaleaf over at curaleaf.com, with Curaleaf spelled Curaleaf. That's curaleaf.com. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Tuesday, March 10th, 2020, and you're tuned in to episode 901 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. We kick off today's news up here in Maine, where state lawmakers are at work on a proposed bill allowing medical marijuana dispensaries to transition some of their medical supply towards the new adult use market set to open up within the next few months. As Penelope Overton over at the Portland Press Herald is reporting, the Senate Veterans and Legal Affairs Committee voted in favor of LD 2091 yesterday, stripping the legislation of previous language that would have afforded legal marijuana businesses some measure of secrecy from public postings when it comes to their security plans, as well as certain extraction and other business operating procedures. Industry reps wanted that information kept under wraps, saying that making it public would only make easier the ability of competitors to steal their trade secrets. That reasoning didn't land with Maine state senators, though, as they removed it, along with another provision that would have classified alcohol-based extractions in the same category as the more dangerous butane and propane extraction types. LD 2091 needs to make a quick pass through a part of the legislature that turns past bills into more legally sound legislature before going for a full vote by the House and Senate. Kyle Yeager over Marijuana Moments picked up on testimony given last week by Sonny Perdue, Secretary of the U.S. Department of Agriculture, before a House Agriculture Committee in which he blamed the Drug Enforcement Administration, or DEA, for restrictions his department has in place for industrial hemp, even though, as Kyle points out, industrial hemp is not a scheduled drug anymore, and thus the DEA shouldn't have any input on policies regarding how it's grown, processed, sold, and used. Secretary Perdue is asked about a policy that is written to require farmers to test their hemp at DEA-registered labs, something we've talked about here recently on the show after the USDA decided to temporarily pause its implementation. This is a good one to open up if your world touches hemp at all. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com. Our final top story today is one of a merger between Colorado-based edibles maker Dixie Brands and Connecticut-based marijuana company BR Brands in a deal valued at $43 million. The acquisition, when closed as expected in the third quarter of this year, will have BR Brands scoop up Dixie Brands in a reverse takeover, with BR Brands owning 80% of the merged entity and Dixie having the remaining 20%. Chuck Smith, CEO of Dixie Brands, will serve as CEO of the new company. Pop over to Marijuana Business Daily for more here if you need it. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out in headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, Curaleaf, one of the nation's top multi-state cannabis operators with 53 local dispensaries, 15 cultivation sites, and 24 processing facilities operating in 14 states. Curaleaf crafts high-quality cannabis products that are uncomplicated and approachable, something you'll see firsthand for yourself by visiting one of Curaleaf's many retail locations, which you can find over at curaleaf.com, spelled Curaleaf. Curaleaf's three main retail brands, Curaleaf Medical Marijuana, Curaleaf Hemp, and Yuku Craft Cannabis, perfectly cover the full spectrum of legal marijuana products. So there's a Curaleaf product to match your need no matter where you come into the market. And Curaleaf is now traded as a stock up on the Canadian Securities Exchange under the symbol CURA, which you can also learn more about over at curaleaf.com. We're hugely grateful for the support given to us here at MJ Today Media by everyone over at Curaleaf. Big thanks for helping us keep the news lights running. All right, time for the Blitz. The Baltimore Sun has an interesting update to a storyline out of Maryland involving former state lawmaker delegate Cheryl Glenn, who has pled guilty to corruption charges involving bribes she solicited and received for help in securing government benefits, including help with landing medical marijuana licenses. Delegate Glenn was a leading proponent of medical marijuana legislation and, according to the Sun's reporting, became involved with a Baltimore businessman, Lance Lucas, who just pled guilty himself to his own charges in the case for paying Delegate Glenn more than $42,000 in bribes. Not a bad story to read for a good, albeit a bit extreme, lesson on how to not operate in the legal marijuana industry. The Oglala Sioux tribe of the Pine Ridge Reservation, located within South Dakota, is voting today on a proposal to legalize medical and adult use marijuana. The policy, if enacted, would set up the reservation as an island of legalization in a sea of prohibition, as all states around South Dakota continue to maintain its illegality. Marijuana Business Daily has a new chart up as part of their series looking at wholesale cannabis pricing at the state level as compared to last year's prices. This time they turn to Illinois, where right now a pound of quality indoor marijuana will fetch a grower $4,000, up from $3,500 a year ago. Average quality indoor is priced at $3,500 a pound, just a touch up from last year's $3,300. This is another good one to open up in full, as Illinois' marijuana story got a whole lot more interesting at the start of the year as it began to allow for adult use sales. Multi-state cannabis operator Green Thumb Industries, or GTI, just signed a sale-leaseback deal with California-based Innovative Industrial Properties, worth $50 million. Innovative Industrial Properties will pay GTI $9 million in cash for a cultivation and processing facility located in Illinois, and will then spend $41 million more in upgrades and renovations before leasing the space back to GTI. The Growth Op is a good piece up looking at the growing popularity of cannabis cultivation among older folks, with some anecdotal takes on a home, flower, and garden show just held up in Canada, where a beginner's seminar on growing marijuana was packed with middle-aged and older participants. This one is interesting, but also likely full with some good opportunity. Give it a read. We've talked recently about Canadian marijuana companies starting to roll out value-based marijuana brands in an attempt to better compete with the illicit market. Leafly's Jesse B. Staniforth did us all a solid and penned a roundup of some of the leading cheaper offerings from companies like Hexo and Cannabis. This is another one I would read if I were you, as this kind of product is something we're likely to eventually see in all mature American cannabis markets. Our final story of the day is another one by Kyle over Marijuana Moments, as he covered a pledge made over this past weekend by Democratic presidential candidate Senator Bernie Sanders to invite the 15,000 or so people at his rally to a ceremony to be held on his first day in office to legalize marijuana. Senator Sanders was perhaps joking about having overall 15,000 rally attendees, but he has seriously called for the immediate lifting of marijuana prohibition via executive order should he be elected president. Today's a big day in the Democratic primaries as voters in Washington State, North Dakota, Missouri, Mississippi, Idaho, and Michigan will all go to the polls. Best of luck to Senator Sanders and to us all. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, Curaleaf, and to our awesome Patreon listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the Patreon listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.